Hey guys, welcome back. In last lecture I have introduced you map and filter functions available on array objects. In this lecture we'll continue and we'll create our custom map and a custom filter function. Let's start. Open your coding editors and let's see our playground Node.js and let's comment this filter here. And first I will create here a custom for each function. Okay. So I will write here somewhere, let's say here, under this comment, I will write here array, like this. I can access here a prototype of this array, so prototype, and let's call this function for each two. So for each two, like this. Perfect. So this will be function, simple function, and this function will take a callback function. Okay, so let's access here a callback function like this. Perfect. You can access array on a prototype in this context. So when you will write here this will reference here array. So when I will write here, for example, I will write here some array person list. So person list dot for each two, like this. This will access me this person list with this context when I will write this. Okay, maybe a little bit confusing, but don't worry, you will understand it when we will debug our code. Alright, so let's continue in our prototype and let's do here just normal for loop. So for, like this. Alright, let's create here let's assign here 0 and let's iterate here until this length, so until our array length. So you'll write here I is less than this dot length. Perfect. And then I want to increment I, so I plus plus. And don't forget here length and a semicolon like this. And then I want to call here my callback function with the I. All right, and actually not just with the I, but with the this. All right, on index of I, so like this. And also I will send here I itself. Alright, so this is how for each actually looks like in a simplified version. So let's uncomment our function here, our for each function here. And actually this first one, because I would like to debug my code, so let's cut it out from here. Alright, so let's copy, let's remove it, and let's paste it under this prototype. And I will call here for each two. Okay? So you can see I don't need to change anything in my code and this will still work. Now I'm passing here function, this callback function, with a person and an index in the parameters of this function. Alright? And instead of a function, I'm just consoling log out this index and a person first name. This function I'm passing, this function here is getting instead of a for each. So in a for each, I am iterating here, alright, so I'm making here iteration, and each iteration I am calling this function here, alright, and I am filling it up with my object, whatever I am getting here, and also index. Let's see it actually. Let's write debugger here, so I'll write debugger in front of this function, and I will write debugger inside of this function so you will understand it completely. Let's save this. Let's go back to our browsers. Alright, let's refresh this. And let's see. So we are calling here person list for each two. Alright, so this is our function on an array object. And we are passing inside person, we are passing inside function with a person and an index, and where we are consoling log out this index and a person. So let's get inside of a for each. And as you can see on this context, I can access my array. You can see here is my array of my 4 items of a person list. Okay, so first name, last name, everything is here. And let's write also breakpoint instead of a here. So I will write here breakpoint and I will resume script execution. And I want to execute my callback function I passed here, so this function here. And I'm calling it with my this on the I index, so this array, alright, on an index of a 0. So this will be my first element, so I will send there my first person. And then I'm sending simply index, which is a 0. When I will execute this, I will step inside you will see I am jumping into my function here, and I'm consoling logout index, right? So let's see this index 0, and also my item I sent from our for each to function. All right, so you can see how simple is that, and maybe it was not so clear before when you just wrote here this callback function, but when you can see it, it's actually very simple. And this function is not available to you, so it can be hidden somewhere, it can be in some library, you can just use it and you have no idea how does it work. But when you see it, it's really simple. We are just calling for each, we are passing their callback function that's doing its job. In a for each we are doing its job, we are just iterating array, and each iteration we are calling our callback function, and we are filling it up with this data we are displaying in a console logs. Alright, so this is for each function, and now let's continue with a map and a filter. Okay, so let's get back here, let's remove this debugger. So these are for each. Alright, and we will try all these functions without changing our code. Okay, so I will create these prototypes and I will not change code of these functions here at all. Alright, so let's see. So let's create another prototype. Actually, we can copy this part here. Alright, let's get this prototype here, and this will be prototype for a map function. I will call it map2. Like this, we will get here a callback function. That's alright. We are iterating as before, that's true. But here we want to create array and we want to return this transform array. So before we will start iterating, I will create here new variable and I will call it new array, like this. And this will be initially empty array. And before we'll start with this, I will show you two functions that are very useful. Let's go back to our browsers. And let's see console. And if you are still in a debugger here, you can access here your person list. So actually you cannot because we are inside of a person list. So maybe we can access this, but this maybe can be confusing for you. So when you will write this here, and actually, okay, you cannot. All right, no worries. We will create here a new array. Let's say var, and let's say test list. And let's create here array of, let's say, of some letters. So letter A, letter C, let's say letter D, and let's say letter G, like this. Let's create this array, so press enter. You will see we have here your test list. So how you will add some item inside of your test list? You can do it like this. You can use your function push, so test list, you have available function push, so dot push, and I can push here some items. So let's say I would like to push here letter F. This will push this item on the last spot. So when I will console log out this list, test list, you will see here this F was pushed on the last spot. Let's see other function. Let's see here test list, and let's push an item on the start of this list. So how can you do it? Let's use your function. Actually, I forgot how it's called. All right, this should be very simple function actually. So let's search it up, and it will come to a mind. Let's see. All right, let's scroll down here. Reduce, reverse, shift. It's shift. Okay, it's a shift function. All right, and I will push it. Let's say letter I. Okay, so test list, shift I. Let's press enter, and you will see your test list. And actually, it's not shift, and my mistake, it's unshift. All right, I will clear this out one more time. Okay, so test list, we have 4 items, and now let's use here unshift. My mistake, I'm sorry. And let's push here I, like this. And now you should add here item. When you will see test list, you have an I on the first spot. Okay, so we have here these items. We know how to push an item on the last spot and on the first spot, but how I can remove some item? We know that indexing starting in an array on with the index 0. So here we have a 0, then you have a index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4. So you can use here function splice, so test list, function splice, like this, and this will take 2 values. First value is an index on which you want to remove item. So let's say I would like to remove this G letter. So I will count here index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. So I would like to remove item on the index 3. So I'll write here on the index 3, and I would like to remove only one item. If I would write here 2, this would remove everything starting from a index 3, and it will remove 2 items. Then I will write here only 1. This will look up on the index, so 0, 1, 2, 3 here, and it will remove only this G here. So let's press enter, and let's see test list, and you will see the G is missing now. Okay, so now we know how to use push, unshift, and splice. Perfect. Let's continue. Let's go back to our coding editors. All right, and let's see here. So we are creating here a new array, and simply I will use here function push. So the result of this callback should be our item, our transform item. So I will create here, let's say, variable. Let's call it, let's say, let and a transform value like this. So this is a result of my callback. Remember, when I am iterating in a map function, I am returning this transform value. So in a case we are iterating persons, I am returning here person first name. Okay, so I'm getting this transform value, and I will push this value to new array. So I'll say here new array, and a push, and a transformed value like this. And after iteration, so after for loop, I will simply return from here a new array like this. Perfect, so now we can try it out. So let's see some map function we are using up here. For example, this one here. Let's copy it, let's paste it under. Let's uncomment this, and let's write debugger after and inside. So debugger here and debugger here. All right, so let's save this. Let's go back to our browsers. Let's refresh, and let's see what will happen. Okay, so we are jumping inside of our map function. Actually, we should use here map2. My mistake. Okay, so let's change its name for map2 because we want to use here our function, our custom function. So one more time, let's save this. Let's use here map2. Back to browsers. Okay, let's refresh. And we are getting inside of here. Okay, so actually, we should write debugger also before this function, so we see what will happen in a map function. But no worries, we can write here still breakpoint in this line where we are pushing, or rather we can write debugger on line 530 when we are calling our callback function. So you can see I'm returning from here person. I'm iterating here over person, and I'm returning from here person first name. Okay, so let's continue. Let's erase some script execution with a breakpoint on this line here with a callback. All right, so you can see now we are getting here transform value. Actually, not now. Let's see. All right, now let's see transform value, which is a John in this case. So I am pushing this John to a new array, which I already have here Philip and a John. Okay, so let's see. All right, and let's continue execution here, and let's see what we will get here. Okay. Actually, we are iterating quite long. Let's continue here. Let's see our person names list. And you can see we are getting here Philip, John, Philip, and Emma. So we are getting all of the names here. It was a little bit weird because we should put the debugger in front of... Yeah, let's go back. And let's place one debugger here in front of this function call. One debugger I will push after we are calling callback. And one debugger will stay as it was before. All right, so let's save this. Let's go back to our browsers. Let's refresh now, and you will see that this is exactly working as our normal map function. Okay, so I'm calling here map function. I'll get inside, and this will. Actually, here should I go? Here I should get inside. This was just my prototype, my mistake. So here, let's click this down arrow, step into function call, and you can see we are stepping inside of here. I am creating new array, empty array. Let's forward this. So I'll click here isomorphic script execution. This will map over a first item, and we are returning from here person. Okay, so person first name. This should jump inside of here, so you can see our transform value is my Philip. Okay, so this is my person first name. I am pushing this Philip in my new array. Okay, then I'm executing again callback with a second item. This will get me here, so I'm returning from here first name John. It will get me back to my callback here. So I'm getting here John, and I'm passing it to a new array. All right, then I'm returning from here Philip again, and I'm getting this transform value, and I'm pushing it to a new array like this, and finally Emma, and I will pushing it to this array, and this is my last item. So I will stop executing this for loop, and I will return from here this new array, which I am returning here. All right, so here in a person names list, I will get these items. All right, let's continue with the last function. Let's go back to our coding editors. I'll remove these debuggers from here. And let's create a last function for a filter. And I encourage you to stop a video and try to create this function by yourself. It's the hardest one from all of these functions, but I think you can do it. So if you feel like, you can stop video and you can try to implement filter to function. All right, so let's see a solution for this. So let's make here some more space. And actually, yeah, let's reuse our for each function. This function is very simple, so I will copy this array prototype for each 2. Let's go down here and let's provide it here. All right. So this will be prototype for our filter to function. So we'll write here filter to. This function will also take a callback. That's fine. We want to iterate here. But don't forget, we are returning some condition from this callback. So remember, in a filter function, we are returning true or false depending on this this comparison or on this condition here. So in a callback, I will get here true or false from this callback. So I will create here, let's say, variable, and let's call it can add to array. This will be true or false depending what callback will return. All right, and I will create here also new array, which will be empty array. So let new array, and this will be initially empty array. Here I will iterate, I will call a callback, this will return me true or false, and here I will check if this is a true. So if can add to array, so can add to array is a true, then I want to push to new array. So I want to push to a new array my item. So let's write here new array push, and let's get here this on an index of I like this. Perfect. After a for loop, we want to simply return from here our new array. Okay, so let's return from here new array. All right, let's get our filter function from somewhere up here. So let's get here a filter function. Let's say this one. Let's copy this. Let's get it after our prototype like this. Let's uncomment this and let's write debugger before. Let's write debugger from inside of this function. Okay, so before return. And also let's get it here after callback function was called. Let's save this, let's save everything, let's go back to our browsers. All right, let's refresh. And let's see. All right, let's see our filter function. So, and actually I again forgot to call here filter too. And I still have some debuggers in before here, so I want to remove all these debuggers I had before here, and actually I cannot see them here. All right, so please let's call this function filter to you are calling in person list. Let's save this. Let's go back to our browsers. All right, let's refresh and let's see it. All right, I will remove this breakpoint from here because this breakpoint from my map function. So let's continue execution. And now, all right, so here we are calling filter to function on a person list. Let's get inside. This will get us to our filter to function. We are creating here a new array, and we want to iterate over our items. Okay, so I'll write a breakpoint here. You can see first iteration, I'm calling my callback function with my item. Okay, so I'm providing my first item here and also this index. My callback function is called from here. Okay, so this is what I'm providing to filter to function. So let's press here down arrow and you will see we'll get inside of our function here. And we are returning from here true or false depending if this this will be true. So if my person first name is Philip, will be true, then it will return from here true value. Okay, and this of course is true because person first name is Philip. So when we will get to the next breakpoint, you will see that I am returning from this callback true. This will get here. And if this is true, I will add this item to an array. So this if can add to array is true. So I will go inside of this if statement. I can add this item. So this on index of I, which is my first item here, I will add it to a new array. All right. So I can jump to a second iteration. All right. So I have here a second iteration, my second item. So Jon Snow. I am calling this callback function. I passed here to filter to, so I'm getting back to this function, and I'm returning from here if person first name is equal to a Philip. Person first name is now John, so this will return false. I will return this false to can add to array in filter to. This means I will not pass this check here, so I will not add anything this iteration. Now I'm coming to third iteration. I'm executing callback with my third item, which will be again Philip. Alright, so let's get inside. I'm comparing first name with a Philip. This is true, so this will return me true value, and here can add to array will be true, and I will pass this check. I will add this item. Alright, my last item will be, this will be Emma. Okay, so this will be this first name Emma, last name Green. When I will get here, I will compare this. This will return false. I will get to get add to array. This will be false. This check will not pass. I will not add this item. My iteration is over. I iterated all items, so I will jump outside of a for loop, and I will return from here new array with my two items. Alright guys, so you can see this what I will get here, and actually if you want to make sure, just write a debugger after, filter the names, and you will see that we are getting what we should. Let's save this. Let's go back to our browsers. Alright. Let's forward this. Alright, let's remove this breakpoint from here, and you will see our filtered names are these filtered names. So everything is working as it should be. I know that was a lot of coding. This was a long lesson, but I find it very important to understand how callbacks works and how we are calling our function and filling them up with the data. Okay, so important to know how we are getting from one function to another and again back. Alright guys, remove this debugger, and actually we are very close to start working on actual project. We are still not done. In the next lecture I would like to explain you also ternary operation. This will be very fast, and then we will talk more about const, let, and the var, and this will be last lecture before we will start working on our actual Vue application. So guys, that should be it from this lecture, and I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers guys!